Well, good morning. Welcome to Joseph, Oregon. I know it's a little bit early to start drinking, but we're at the Stein Distillery, and they have some award-winning, they're really known for their whiskeys and bourbons, and we've got, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So we're going to take a little tour, but this is how we got hooked on this stuff, the Huckleberry Cordial. If you like huckleberries, this is the stuff you want to do. So, you guys, we are Rick and Kathy Dancer with Exploregon, and
good morning.
So I was already telling him, honey, it's kind of early to be drinking, but You know what? You got to start somewhere. So, hey, Jason, how are you? So we're at the Stein Distillery in Joseph, and we're going to get a little tour of the distillery, talk to Dan, the guy who is the distiller. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce,
and Toyota and the Northwest Toyota dealers.
And we're really excited to be here. And we've got a getaway package you've got to see more of. It's on the page. Do they ship? Do you ship?
We cannot.
They do not ship, Jason, but you only live in Bend. It's not that far. You can drive over here and pick up. They do sell by the case, so you can buy as many cases as you want.
Actually, our products are in the OLCC liquor system, so we're in a lot of the state liquor stores.
So Jason, Dan says, we'll talk to him here in a sec, but he says you can get it in the liquor stores. They're in most of the liquor stores, if you see the label. So let's go in here and find out. We're going to go kind of start to finish. So Dan, here we go. So this is Dan.
Good morning.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary the 6th of July. Had an open house and come out with a new 9-year rye whiskey for the occasion. And so we started up first couple of years just distilling, putting whiskey in the barrels to age. Your whiskey has to age at minimum of 2 years before you can sell any of it. In the process, we come out with the vodka and the cordials that Rick just mentioned a little bit ago.
So let's see the process. Take us back here. You guys, we're going to go back in the back here. And this is where it all happens. So I guess that's where it all starts, right here in the grains.
Yes. Right now you're looking at the rye grain on the left, corn on the right. I'm just switching back to running rye whiskey in the morning.
You also, like, a lot of this is grown on your own farm.
Yes, I grow all the rye, wheat, and barley that we use on my farm about 4 miles southeast of town. And I get my corn out of the La Grande area. Start out at the farm, store the grains out there, mill them out there, bring them in here, and drop them into these boxes to bucket out of into my mash kettles.
So Jason's on there. He wants to know your oldest whiskey. I think he just said it's a 9-year.
It's a 9-year rye whiskey.
So, yeah, Jason, that's what you can get. Now, then it comes in here. You put it in here.
I'll put 500 pounds of grain. It might be a mixture of grains or it might be a straight grain, depending on what I'm making at the time. Into this bin, there's a scale underneath. It'll weigh it out. Then I auger it from there into one of my 2 mash kettles. The smaller mash kettle on the left takes 250 pounds of grain per batch. The bigger one on the right, 500 pounds of grain per batch. And then as soon as my still gets up to temperature that morning, I'll divert most of my steam back here, direct inject steam into these tanks, and cook them to 185 degrees.
So how did you get started making distilled products?
This has been an interest of mine for quite a few years, and it might have been a hobby at home for a little bit before we actually got started on this.
This is a great distillery with a very special story, says Nancy Worsham. Do you know Nancy?
I've heard Nancy, yes.
So, so what's the special story? This is a family affair. This is your.
This is family business. We have a family farm. My 2 sons, and Austin and Heather, and Adam and Annalise. Austin and Heather are actual owners of the distillery. It was their idea, more or less, to get this started, a place for me to retire into and build a job for themselves to move back to the county on eventually.
So people really do want to come back here. Young people, it's like it's home.
It is, and the problem is, since the timber industry went out, there's not a lot of jobs for young people in the county growing up here. So a lot of them have to leave to find, the jobs they need to survive.
So they create this because you're the at-home distiller.
Yes.
And or that's a story. And so this creates and you've created quite a name for you guys have award-winning products.
We've done very well. We've got 3 double gold medal-winning whiskeys and several gold, and on down. Been very fortunate in the competitions. So we're very happy with the way it's gotten going.
Show me the brass part here. This
Okay.
is so impressive. Look, the guys, I'm gonna turn this around here, but I want to wait till we get past that hose there. So this is the actual distiller.
Yeah, this is the still itself. It takes the mash that we make in the back there, cooks that mash, and you can see the mash stirring in the port there right now. What it's doing is evaporating the alcohol vapors off of the mash up through the column on top into the stainless pipes and over into our condensing columns as it comes across. Right now we're just running whiskey, so we're only running in the smaller column at the right where you're looking right now. So the alcohol actually, the vapors climb this column, it climbs in proof. And by the time it hits the top of the cooking column and hits the cooling column, I'm running right at 160 proof. You can see under the...
Let me show here, because you can see if you guys look. Yeah, you should be able to see. Hold on. See the little... Dan, can you point to that second one? No, see the little stuff?
Actually, the alcohol that's condensed, running back to the still to recook and come back at a higher proof.
And then this is...
This is where the alcohol comes out of the cooling column. Right now I'm running my hearts. I've already drawn off the heads. I'm running right at 160 proof right now, the maximum proof that I want to run my whiskeys at. You get any higher in proof than that, then you're starting to take too much of the flavor out of your grains. So I'll have this hydrometer floating in there so I know when I'm getting close to making the cut between my hearts and my tails. At a little below 120 proof, I'll start paying attention, and I can actually smell the essential oils starting to come through in the tails. And it's not going to hurt you to drink those, but they have flavors and smells that aren't necessarily appealing in your product. So I draw those off and rerun them with the next batch of mash the next day.
Oh, let's have a taste. Is that possible?
Sure.
All right.
Go around there.
So in here you can taste.
Yeah, what you're tasting is about 160 proof alcohol coming out right now. So you can really taste the grains. It's kind of a raw, grainy taste. From here, it'll go into my storage tanks underneath. When the storage tanks are full, I pump it into a big stainless tank, cut it down to 120 proof with our straight well water to put it in the barrels to age.
So what is your thing with this? Because you're really doing local products. You're real sustainable. What is it for you?
Well, it's a good way to source local products where I'm raising the grain myself. I'm not what I'm doing is condensing my grains and not shipping truckloads to the river and barging down to Portland to market my grains. I'm condensing it to smaller packages, cases of fifths, and then shipping it out.
What are you reading there, dear?
Oh, so I'm just reading about so obviously the straight rye whiskey is something that this is your passion. It's kind of coming back, and it's from bourbon. It's kind of more and it's kind of going back. And I was thinking of Rick because one of his favorite drinks is Manhattan. So I was saying that you're saying that your rye whiskey is really good in the drink, and so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the rye is my favorite whiskey that I make. I just love the extra spices that's in the rye grain, the extra flavors, and the way the flavor hangs on the back of your palate. As you know, when you drink it, it just kind of hangs on and stays with you a little while.
Let's go in here and look, because I think your product looks so cool on the counter here. Oh man, So you guys do rum too. So we got bourbon, the rye. So
I can't.
we're doing a getaway package. So somebody's going to win a package to come here.
Yeah, we'd be glad to include some free tickets for tours and free samples in your package.
Okay, that's great. So whoever wins the package, you guys, you can't win if you don't participate. So you could win time. Hi, Donna Jackson. How are you? What happens to the mash after the entire process?
Okay, the mash is dumped into a dump trailer out back every day after I collect it from the 2 runs. When the trailer's full, it goes back out to my farm, to my compost pit, blended in with the old compost, and then every spring it all goes back on my fields for fertilizer.
So there's not a lot of waste in any of this, is there?
No, everything's pretty much reused. Like, for instance, my once used barrels, when I empty them, they go to different breweries in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and California. Brewers and hard cider makers are using my barrels to age their beers and ciders in. What they're doing is pulling the flavors of my whiskeys out into their product, and it's starting to get very popular.
So did you kind of open the door? You guys are kind of the first in Eastern Oregon area, aren't you?
Well, yeah, in Eastern Oregon, there was a couple distillers in Portland for a few years before we started in Bend, but we were kind of early in on the new distillery craze when it started.
So, question off of the distillery. What is it about Joseph?
Joseph is just, it's a beautiful place to live, very friendly place. You'll never get tired of walking out of the house in the mornings and looking up at the mountains. And
God, never.
Yeah.
We went for a run yesterday, and we ran out that direction underneath those mountains there. It was just, it's kind of like you're I don't know if I'm gasping for air because I'm running or if it's because I'm underneath those mountains.
Maybe it's the elevation.
It could be that too. But there's a view in every direction here.
There is.
No matter which way you're looking, there's a view. It's beautiful.
Well, Dan, thanks for showing us around. Thanks for adding to our getaway package as well. And you guys, you can find Stein Distillery products in your local liquor store, so you don't have to ship. But if you decide you want to come over here, Dan will load up your truck with case after case, just so you make sure they have what they need.
You bet.
There's nothing worse than running out of Stein, don't you think?
Well, I agree.
You never do. All right. So, again, Kathy and I want to thank the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce as one of our sponsors.
And Toyota and your Northwest Toyota dealers, they help us and support us so that we can come to rural Oregon and share with you guys these wonderful stories.
So share this on your page, let other people know. In a little while, if we can get alive, we're going to be at Arrowhead Chocolates. Did I say that right, Dan?
Yes.
If you've never had them, I don't know where you've been, but these are amazing chocolates. They're going to start some production around 10 o'clock, so we came to Dan early. We were supposed to be at Dan's a little later, but hey, when you're in Joseph, you're flexible, so everybody is flexible there. So we will be back with that, and you guys, we went to a bronze foundry yesterday. We do have some signal difficulties because we're in rural Oregon, and all these tourists here think they have to use their phone the same time we do. So we will be getting those stories up for the next 10 days. You'll be seeing stuff from this area. Be sure and join the contest, though, the getaway contest, because you can come here for 3 nights and enjoy a lot of stuff on here. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later. Anything else?
Nope, I think you said it all.
All right, we'll see you later, guys.